He never threatened you, right? No, I never even spoke to him. Please, do not ever speak to people that way. Thank goodness I stayed in my car, avoided confrontation, and kept silent. What happened was flat-out harassment being tailed. Like, that is not normal. Does he live nearby? Now, Tiffany Henyard, the current mayor of Dalton, Illinois, is facing an all-out firestorm. Caught in the crosshairs of public fury after newly surfaced Bodycam footage exposed her being arrested by federal agents. Henyard has been under a microscope for months, and now serious allegations of corruption and dishonesty have boiled over into this shocking arrest. The people of Dalton have been fed up for a long time, demanding answers on what has now surfaced is beyond disturbing. Blatant signs of fraud, abuse of power, and unlawful behavior. And those three individuals involved, not even close to competent, far below average. They talk like their words hold weight, but in truth, it is just hollow noise. Listening to Henyard speak, you would never believe she is the one leading an entire municipality. Speculation about her arrest has been circulating for months, and many believed it was only a matter of time before the feds acted. Confirmed reports now state that the FBI has officially taken her into custody, and her next destination may well be a maximum security prison. The Bureau's investigation, which kicked off last November, a cry for help, showing just how deeply people crave change. And this is not her first legal issue, like her earlier arrest involving a car break-in. She is now facing an overwhelming 22 criminal charges. Even her lawyer has walked away from the case due to unpaid fees. Meanwhile, Dalton's financial situation is catastrophic, droning in a $20 million deficit, the fallout of placing power into the wrong hands. To understand how things got here, Henyard may have been elected in 2021, but most of her influence and wealth stem from her role as township supervisor, a position she secured only after the former office holder died. And it pays over $220,000 annually. She even pushed through a shady policy slashing the future salary for anyone who tries to run against her to just $25,000, practically blocking competition. The situation is so bleak that residents feel hiring a former Chicago official at $400 per hour might be their only hope of salvaging what is left. Justice may move slowly, but the wheels are turning, and hopefully, it will not be long before the people of Dalton see Henyard held accountable. Village leaders who have long sounded the alarm now feel some relief that the FBI is finally stepping in to shield the town from further harm. For months, they have been pleading for intervention, revealing how millions in public funds have vanished without explanation, and calling for transparency. The intensifying federal investigation has unearthed claims of fraud, embezzlement, and flagrant misuse of public money, painting a chilling image of corrupt leadership that dragged Dalton into this fiscal disaster. The community now wrestles with the aftermath as Dalton sinks deeper into financial chaos under Henyard's rule. The FBI has carried out coordinated raids on both the village of Dalton and Thornton Township, executing federal subpoenas to retrieve documents linked to the corruption case against Henyard, who sits at the top of Dalton's leadership. This development first came to light through ABC 7 News. Working under court authority, FBI agents gathered employee files, police logs, and financial records to support their investigation. Internally, Henyard has taken heavy fire from her own counsel, several of whom have openly criticized her actions. During a recent interview, she denied wrongdoing and redirected blame onto her political opponents. The council responded by bringing in former Chicago mayor and ex-U.S. attorney, Lori Lightfoot, to conduct an independent probe into the growing list of allegations. Accusations have been piling up fast. One municipal employee claimed Henyard sexually assaulted them during a business trip to Las Vegas. The scandal keeps getting worse. When Henyard recently appeared on a show, insiders were stunned by her behavior, proof of why the accusations of negligence and misconduct continue to grow. And those three people in her inner circle, they could not be more wrong. Their grasp on reality is embarrassingly weak, borderline non-existent. Somehow, they have convinced themselves that their nonsense is meaningful, as if they are stirring the pot or pulling one over on the public. But the truth, it is the complete opposite. Every claim they make collapses under scrutiny, and to think someone like Henyard, speaking the way she does, holds the title of mayor, a real leader. That is almost too absurd to take seriously. While she was physically present, reports say FBI agents were conducting on-site interviews. The scandal extends further, involving her questionable control over Dalton's police department. A former police chief came forward, detailing how Henyard repeatedly used her security detail for personal errands rather than official matters. This paints a clear picture of someone who misused her authority and drained village resources to serve her own needs instead of the public's. Officers sworn to serve and protect were allegedly reduced to running errands like personal drivers. Critics have not held back, branding her one of the most self-serving and dishonest officials the village has ever known. Several accounts describe her as a bully, firing anyone who dared challenge or confront her behavior. Nationally, Tiffany Henyard has stirred sharp division. Though she governs a small Illinois town, the overwhelming sentiment among locals is simple. They want her gone. She is constantly surrounded by a security team that drains about $250,000 a year from public funds, and even produced a custom 2024 calendar celebrating her own birthday. Beyond reckless spending, she allegedly reshaped the political landscape to lock in her power. While her own salary sits around $225,000, she passed a rule cutting any future challenger's salary to just $25,000, an aggressive 90% reduction, clearly designed to eliminate serious competition. Still, brave individuals continue to enter the race, fighting to bring her reign to an end. The damage under her leadership goes far beyond wasted money. For the people of Dalton, it has become a deeply emotional and personal fight. Stories are emerging tales of intimidation, financial strain, and abandonment by their own local government, putting a spotlight on the silent suffering of real people. One courageous woman said she had waited decades, 20, maybe 30 years, and, if her worst fears were finally coming true, there was no way she could remain silent. She demanded swift justice. She spoke of surviving trauma, pushing through depression, and turning to her faith to find the strength to speak up. Now she stands firm. But this is no longer just her battle. She is speaking up for every woman who has suffered in silence, who lives in fear, and who feels completely forgotten. She is raising her voice for all those who have been muted, and she refuses to fight. Alanche stands on behalf of them all. Staffers who worked directly with Henyard were often expected to speak freely, especially when she was around, because she constantly wanted input while juggling multiple tasks. One assistant remembered planning an upcoming trip and mentioning May 21st. "That's my 31st birthday," she said. "I've never been to Vegas, and I wasn't sure if I'd go, but just being there on my birthday, even if it is for work, would mean something to me." She added, "You know how hard I grind. This is not about partying, it is just something I have always wanted to experience." Her candid and hopeful words stood in stark contrast to Henyard's fiery, dramatic demeanor. In one explosive video clip, Henyard was caught lashing out at city officials, shouting, "I'm the leader." Her emotional eruption left many viewers thinking she was spiraling and deflecting responsibility. "Y'all forget time, the leader. People want to hear from the leader, not from folks who just sit around talking," she snapped, adding more heat to the fire. Former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot dropped a bombshell report outlining Henyard's reckless use of public funds. Lightfoot's findings claimed money that was supposed to benefit urgent needs. Much of the public outrage focuses on her lavish lifestyle, allegedly using taxpayer money for luxury hotel stays and pricey meals at places like Ruth's Chris Steakhouse and Bubba Gump Shrimp Co., all under the guise of attending official conferences. She even wore a Bubba Gump hat to a town meeting shortly after residents began questioning her Vegas trip. Spending reports alone were outrageous, but when local journalists questioned Tiffany Henyard about her Las Vegas trip, her answers became downright bizarre. And remember, what you are about to hear is not a sketch or parody. It really happened. When asked if she had traveled to Las Vegas, she responded with bewilderment. "What is that?" Then, seemingly caught off guard again, she stumbled. "No, you don't know if you were in Las Vegas." Her next answer, "Of course I do." The confusion only deepened when reporters pressed her on whether taxpayer dollars were used for the trip or if she flew first class. Her answers became more evasive and unclear. Meanwhile, breaking news out of Illinois signaled a dramatic turn in the story. The FBI executed a major raid on both Dalton and Thornton Township. As reported by ABC 7 News, subpoenas were issued as part of a serious investigation into allegations of corruption. Linked directly to Mayor Tiffany Henyard, according to the FBI, agents were conducting court-approved enforcement actions, key personnel files, police department records, and financial documents tied to the village's operations. For months, Henyard faced criticism from within her own council, continuing to deflect blame onto her political enemies. But this is no longer just about politics. In response to the mounting allegations, the village council appointed former Chicago mayor and ex-U.S. attorney Lori Lightfoot to lead an independent, far-reaching investigation into Henyard's conduct. The accusations have only become more explosive. One of the most serious involving a staff member who claims she was sexually assaulted during a city-funded trip to Las Vegas. Additional charges include failure to pay staff, unlawful terminations, and repeated financial abuse and misconduct. Allegations are stacking up fast, each one more disturbing than the last. And even as Henyard flatly denied the charges in a televised interview, sources confirm that federal investigators were closely monitoring the broadcast, gathering intelligence in real time as she continued to speak.